Humboldt State tonight, joined now for the first time this year by Dr. Rollin Richmond, of course, the president here of Humboldt State University. Dr. Richmond, thank you much for stopping by.
My pleasure.
All right, let's talk about athletics and Humboldt State University. What do athletics mean to Humboldt State University?
Athletics is a very important means to involve the community. I love when I come to a football game or a basketball game, and not only do I see our faculty and staff here, but I see community members with their children. One of the ways of getting children to think about higher education is to get them on the campus to see that there's a lot of interesting things going on here, that they're interesting people. The other thing that I really like about athletics is that it helps students be successful as students because coaches work closely with them, other students work closely with them, staff work closely with them. They tend to do better. They have higher GPAs than the average student, and they graduate earlier than the average student. The other thing that I really like about athletics is that it brings in a diverse group of students that we otherwise might not have access to.
Yeah, I mean, there a high majority of your ethnic students here at Humboldt State are athletes, correct?
Exactly. And sometimes they come here and decide they don't want to be a football player or basketball player or whatever, and they end up staying at the university and majoring and getting a good education. That's exactly what we want to have happen.
Why do you think athletes have a higher graduation rate than the normal non-athletic student?
Well, they're probably smarter, but I think the real answer is that they get a lot of attention from coaches, they get a lot of attention from staff people, they get attention from their colleagues on the teams, they tend to work together as a team, and that makes them, I think, more successful because they know people are watching over their shoulders, they know they have help. And the rest of our students sometimes get something like that too, but not as often as an athlete.
All right, a lot of us on the athletic side of things will say to ourselves, boy, I don't understand why athletics comes under siege. It seems like when things get tough, the academics of a university don't feel athletics is important. But what would you say when you get in that meeting and you've got guys like Dan Collin and you've got professors who don't think athletics has a spot on campus? Where do you come in line with that, and what do you say to both sides?
Well, I'd say what I said to you a few minutes ago. I think that athletics is a really important component. This is a public university. It's supported largely by people's taxes. More than 70% of the money that supports Humboldt State comes from taxes. We need to support the community. The community supports athletics. It's an important mechanism for us to be involved with the community and to serve its needs.
And from a PR standpoint, you have to love, the university does a lot of things, Dr. Richmond, but there's not many things I see the university do that's got 2,000 people in the gym and a full Redwood Bowl, and it's positive stuff. It's not protesting, it's not bad PR, it's people coming out and loving HSU.
Exactly, and I really enjoy coming to these games and seeing the community people there, and as I said earlier, what really pleases me to watch the kids playing in the end zone down there, not paying any attention to the game, but obviously interested in this as a university, and it's a good place to be.
All right, we've seen football canceled recently up at Western Washington University. Your stance seemed to be that's not even an option. We're looking forward to building championships. What would you say to people who are concerned about programs taking cuts?
Football is going to stay as long as I'm here at Humboldt State. I think it's a really important mechanism to bring students and people to this community. It's been an important way for us to get attention to the campus. For many years I was an academic, and sometimes some of my work got a little attention, but nothing like what happens when our football team goes out and plays. So it's an important way of bringing people's attention to the university. Then other people, the academics, get some attention as well.
Now, I remember when Dr. McCrone left, Alistair McCrone left, and they were looking at the different candidates for president. I remember reading your bio, and you went to San Diego State, but then at Iowa State, so a Big Ten guy. So I had to assume that you knew athletics meant a lot.
Well, I spent 20 years of my career at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. And I always say that Bobby Knight and I came there in exactly the same year, 1970. He got rich and famous, and I got neither. But he did teach me several things about athletics. He taught me that coaches and athletes are very intelligent people. They're very strategic in what they do. And despite some of Bobby Knight's character flaws, one of the things I always appreciated in Bobby Knight was he was a strong supporter of academics. His students tended to graduate, and he himself spent a lot of time working on behalf of the library at Indiana University. So athletes and coaches, I think, do good things for universities, much more than I think the average person understands.
All right, I won't put you on the spot for any good Bob Knight stories here. Obviously, the budget is a major concern in the state of California right now. How is that affecting your job?
Well, I've been here nearly 7 years now, and every year that I've been here, we've had to reduce our expenditures, and we're doing it again next year. Last year, the Vice Presidents and I budgeted very conservatively. We do have a significant central reserve now. We've already spent some of that reserve giving back money to the state. We anticipate that when the budget finally gets solved, please solve it, somebody. When the budget finally gets solved, we will probably have to give back some more, but we hope we won't have to go back very much to the academic units. We will have to cut about $832,000 from our budget for next year, but most of the academic areas will not be touched. Athletics, I think, will not be affected either.
Well, that's great news on that standpoint. Rob Arkley joins us next. Very excited to have him on, probably the biggest player in our community here. What would you say Humboldt State's role is in the community outside of campus?
Well, as you know, we started some years ago an Office of Economic and Community Development. We've now merged it with our Small Business Association Lead Center on campus, which brings about $5 million a year to this and the Northern California community. We are working as Humboldt State to really help the economic development of this region. In fact, Mr. Arkley and I are going to be working together on this issue, I hope, over the next months or years. This is a real opportunity. We have a lot of poverty in this area. I hate to see that poverty, especially for young children. We can fix it, I think, with some relatively significant changes in the way that we approach economic development without destroying the environment, which so many of us really benefit from here.
All right, now 7 years in, Alistair McCrone, I think, did 27, so we know you're just getting started. But having that said, what do you want your legacy to be at Humboldt State when that day finally does come where you're ready to step away and retire?
I'd like to leave my position here with the sense that Humboldt State University is critical to the North Coast region for both its educational mission and for its economic development, and that we have helped to reduce the poverty that we see in this area and provide jobs for people and to make sure that young children have the food and the homes that they need.
All right, now, Dr. Richmond, don't heckle the refs too bad this weekend at the games, okay? Rollin Richmond right here on Humboldt State tonight. Very exciting. Rob Arkley joins us next right here on Humboldt State tonight.